welcome back to another episode of the Golf Industry Roundtable, the GIR podcast. If you are like me, you're kind of what the F just happened to the game of golf. Many aspects are improved through the roof, rounds played up, etc. Other aspects, hospitality, banquet sales kind of down. And my partner in crime, Rob Hoffman, has put together a distinguished panel for us to sort of explore this issue. What's going on? What can we improve on? And how do we keep the level of engagement up? So why don't you introduce us to our friends and kick us off, Rob?
Cool. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, usually when I talk to these guys, most of the conversation is what the F anyway. So I'm pretty excited to have these guys on. We had Scott Merchant from Club Profit Systems on earlier this year. He's Chief Growth Officer at Club Profit. Club Profit, for those of you who don't know, is T-sheet, point of sale, booking engine, a little bit everything. So you can collect money at your golf course when you're running your golf course. Get golfers in, get paid. To drive them to the course, we've got Kent ASHBY, Director of Marketing from One-to-One Marketing. Websites, a little bit of everything there. SEO, SEM. They've got a great program called Campaign Pilot. You need to check out One-to-One Marketing as well. And then I'm lucky enough to be a part of this group with these guys. We just started a webinar series that we wanted to talk to you a little bit about because, just like Kyle said, what the F just happened to the golf industry here in 2020. There's a huge spike in activity, new golfers, greater engagement, just a lot of cool stuff going on in the golf industry. We know that a lot of the golf courses we've been speaking to have seen not just this major bump, but are probably trying to scramble and figure out what are we going to do next year in 2021 to hang on to this new audience, whether it's retaining members, getting those new customers loyal and paying more greens fees and grabbing more of a lion's share of that golfer's dollar in their market in 2021. So I'm excited to have these guys on. We've got this series, this binge-worthy series. Why don't you guys talk about it? I'll shut up for a moment.
Rob, I love your fake background. Zoom is getting
so cool,
much
right?
better, like the kind of the live action graphics.
I can actually walk on it. If I put this down, I can go out and walk around on it a little.
Technology is amazing right now. That's unbelievable.
It's augmented reality.
I want the green screen back when you're done with it. Send me.
Okay, I'll ship it back to Orlando.
The augmented reality for us right now is the industry itself. I feel like is in some sort of idyllic green screen reality, because I've been in this business on the technology provider side for 22 years. I've never seen anything like this in my life, where golf has returned, golf is strong, the demand happened literally overnight. Never in a million years would I have thought. I thought it would just be kind of a slow effort to try to progress and get your business moving forward. And holy mackerel, did that change with COVID. And it took, unfortunately, a pandemic for it to get there. And in the economy, there's winners and there's losers in the kind of the post-pandemic world, and golf is clearly in the winners column. Even if your banquets and your outings, Kyle, like you said, they're not back, the brunt of your business is still green fee and cart fee revenue, and that is strong. And all of a sudden you have this total paradigm shift. And that's kind of where Rob and Kent and I talk a lot, is just what has happened or what is happening. It's just accelerated all of these things: the return of pricing power, operational issues, the influx of technology, the reliance on mobile apps, the Google trends, as Kent shared in the first one. And I think Kent, when you did that first one to me, talking about the Google trends and what people are searching for as far as golf courses near me, and just the volume and the spike, that's when I knew, like, we had to do something maybe industry wide to talk about it, just because of the stuff that you were seeing.
Yeah, too. And I talked about it a lot in the webinar about, the increases, 70, 80, 90% year over year increases in search volume, which is absurd. But also, I think what we're going to talk about in the future webinar episodes is who those golfers are. It's not just the avid golfer playing more rounds. I mean, that is a reality too, but it's the guy that plays 5 times a year is now playing 10 times, and the guy that's playing 10 times now playing 20 times, et cetera, et cetera. And these are all different people, all different golfers. So we're going to talk about who they are. And I would say even a portion of them don't even consider themselves to be golfers. Like if you were to ask them, hey, are you a golfer? They'd be like, I play golf. sometimes.
I
You know what
played
I
a
mean?
little bit more this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I did, like,
Yeah.
but like maybe they've backdoored into the sport,
That's right.
And be like, well, you know what? Yeah, I
My
used to go
buddy,
once
my
a month,
buddy
and
invites me
yeah,
out
like
sometimes.
we
I
are
play
going
with
out
him.
there. Yeah,
You
we are
know?
going
Yeah.
out there 3 times a month now. We used to be one,
Yeah,
right?
it
So
snuck
all
up
of
on
those,
him.
yeah, all
Right.
those different journeys. So to kind of tease the episodes, not that Kyle or Rob asked, but it's we started the first episode kind of looking back. What were the major trends that we saw through Google, through credit card processing, through technology usage, through app usage, kind of set the table. And then we're going to set the table, which is the golfer themselves has changed. As America and North America has gone through this shift from a consumer buying pattern, what has changed? They are different. The golfer of November 2020 is totally different than the golfer in February 2020. There's more of them, but they're looking different, they're behaving different, and so we gotta look at that and make some good decisions for 2021. And then we're going to start to say, okay, now that this consumer is different, what's changed about the funnel? What's changed about their technology behavior? What's changed about your facility as it relates to price? What's changed about your facility or should change about where your tee times are located and third-party relationships? This is the time. I think one of the key trends we took away, Rob and Kent, from the last one was, if you're going to do something, if you're going to make changes, this is the time. Whether it's whatever you've been talking about, like you have this window now that you have demand, you have customers that are flexible, that are willing to listen, to say, hey, listen, I've got to do it this way, I've got to charge this much, or I've got to do this specific thing because of COVID, because of the pandemic. And you can make these huge changes that you've needed to make in your business that you have a window of time. I don't know how long that window exists, but you can actually make some really drastic changes now in the industry. So it's exciting and it's crazy. And I know everybody's up 25% and probably just wanting to take a nap and relax for a week.
Yeah,
And
it's not time.
but what we said last time was, take a vacation for a week and then get right back on the horse, because you've got to make some really key decisions.
Yeah, your foot
over the
needs
next
to be on
6
the
months.
gas.
It's marketing 101. Marketing 101 is, and this is where I feel like I've seen a lot of courses, or if you're just listening and have a business, a lot of businesses have failed in marketing for years and years and years, as they believe, oh, we've hit a slow time, we need to up our ad spend during this slow time, or we need to go out and try to seek and find new customers during slow times. And that's exactly the wrong way of thinking. A lot of those old cliche sayings, make hay while the sun shines, that's what really applies during something like this, is when you've got people engaged and you've got people searching for it, this is what people are seeking, that's when you need to increase your marketing efforts, and that's when you need to increase your ads, because the audience is there. When the audience is not there, when it's dead, it's dead. I mean, take your vacation then. Don't beat yourself over the head. But that audience is going to be there. Ken, I want you to talk a little bit about search, not just in golf, but just like in general for outdoor activities, what it also means to travel search. So courses that a lot of times have depended on their customers being transient customers, they really should be looking for local customers right now because of what's happened to travel, and some of the things that we're going to touch on as the webinar series continues, what that golfer looks like. But just kind of like business in general, I mean, everything is shifted toward outdoors. I mean, in our first episode, what were some of those stats that you had related to search for like all outdoor industries?
Yeah, I mean, boats for sale, that keyword or that search term on Google was up over double year over year. RVs for sale was up almost triple year over year. These are search terms people are going to Google and typing in. Bikes for sale was up like 3 or 4 times year over year. So these are all, I think the relation between us and them, the common denominators, it's outdoors. You can participate in them individually. Or you can experience them with other people, but still safely and at a distance and whatnot. And so all of those things you can do when you're boating, RVing, camping, fishing, all these other industries that are also, similar to us in that regard are on fire. And you had mentioned, like, should you target local, or you need to shift your focus towards more local marketing? I actually just came off a call with a client who owns a golf resort in Michigan, northern Michigan, kind of a remote destination type place. And they actually said that they were shut down in May due to the state. But other than that, they had a great year. And if they had May, they would have had an up year. And this is, a lot of their revenues not only golf, but lodging as well. So as you can imagine, but anyway, their market is almost entirely 99%, according to them, a drive market anyway. And they saw almost no negative impact due to COVID from that drivable market, except for in May. So the drive market to them is like 6 hours and less, let's call it like 6-8 hours and less. Most people are coming from 2.5-3 hours. So that market, especially if that is if that's a part of your business model and strategy, that's who you guys need to be targeting. Don't focus on the people that have to hop on a plane, because those people are significantly harder to sell on the idea than someone that can just hop in a car and drive. For whatever reason, obviously there's more exposure when you're in an airport, on a plane, all those things, and that all has an impact on that. But the drive markets, from what I've heard, it probably depends on the state, but for some clients, haven't really seen much of a fall off there.
Stand strong. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, Kyle, do you have any questions? I'm just kind of dominating here a little
Yeah,
bit.
I thought maybe we should take a step back for those who are listening at home and maybe didn't get the email invitation to the webinar series. Let's just kind of point them in the right direction. How many of these are we going to have? You've had one. Can they look at the first episode if they missed it? Is there a play on demand option? Why don't you guys take us through some just the basic logistics?
Yeah, so a 6-episode series. Yeah, 6-episode series, or the first binge watch series. We try to keep each one to 30 minutes. So we'll say 30, 35 minutes. We actually had some questions on the last one, went to about 45, 50 minutes. You can click on the link and register. We'll include it, here, wherever you're watching this. You just register and you're able to watch it. So you might want to just save them, for a few weeks and let them queue up. The concept was born around the changing consumer and how technology is affecting that. And so we're able at Gallus, at Club Profit, and at One-to-One Marketing and Ignite, we're able to see some global stats that you might not otherwise be privy to. NGF's putting out some good stuff. Pellucid's putting out some good stuff. I think we have some good kind of global stats to help prepare for what's coming in 2021. So you can register there, and you can get yourself prepared to make better decisions with what's coming. And a lot of it, for better or worse, is going to involve how you integrate technology into your facility, how you integrate a mobile app. Well, I have to pre-check and I have to check them in. How do I do online res? How do I do food ordering? How do I take credit cards and mobile pay? So a lot of that stuff is really top of mind and prevalent, and you've got to prepare for that stuff now. Sometimes it takes a little bit to implement, but I think if we can get it done in 6 episodes, we've already talked about having an extra episode to get there for an appendix potentially, or a director's cut. But we're going to try to get there in 6 episodes for people.
There'll be a blooper reel that comes out. It's kind of fun. When we forget that we're supposed to say what the F just happened in the industry, every now and then we got to bleep ourselves. But in addition to this, I don't want to ignore our 3,600 friends at private clubs out there. It's something that you should be tuning into as well, because member retention is going to be a big deal next year. A lot of those new members, just about every club I talk to has hit waiting list status, that membership is full or they're right at the edge of full. And we're talking about a lot of things like maintaining the highest prices, raising your prices a little bit. Revenue growth is a big piece of this as well. But then member retention, as it plays into this, is going to be a big deal, because you've got a lot of those new people to the industry that took a flyer and said, I'm going to join a private club this year, to kind of guarantee themselves a spot in that outdoor activity in golf, and retaining them, after year one, is going to be the biggest deal. Like any business that has any kind of retention model, getting past year one and getting retention into year 2 is the biggest hump to get over. So there will be some pieces of this that talk about the private club and semi-private clubs and retaining members as well.
Yeah, and not just even retaining them is going to be big. You're right, in the future. I mean, all these new members signing up, you're going to have to convince them a second time around that it's worth the, let's say COVID goes away and now that money, the wife's saying, hey, let's take a vacation to wherever, and that money was going towards a membership. Now it needs to go towards plane tickets and resort stay and blah, blah, blah. But also too, kind of talking about the acquisition of new members, for some of the marketing campaigns that we've been doing, they're performing unbelievably well. So last year and pretty much every year prior since I've been in the golf industry, cost per lead for membership drives that we do has fallen into like the $50 to $60 range. So that's what, when I say cost per lead, that is what a customer pays to get one person to fill out the form or call the course and ask for a membership, more information about membership. That now is averaging less than $40, more like $35. So they're paying almost half of what they would have paid in years prior. So again, where we were talking about, your foot needs to be in the gas. You need to be marketing more than ever because demand is higher than ever. That holds true there. If you want your membership to go from 200 to 300 or whatever your goal is, now is really when you need to do that.
But yeah, your dollar's going so much further. More people are searching and you're spending less money.
right.
I mean, it's 30% down right now.
Or spend the same amount of money and I can raise my prices because I'll have double the people at the top.
Well, that's
of the
what I mean.
funnel.
But you're spending less money to get one.
Yeah.
Which means you're gonna get more activity for your dollar.
Well, and if you think about cost per lead, and the reason I always like to use that is because if you do the math on cost per lead and what that looks like from all the way to acquisition, right? How much does that cost me at the end? If it costs me $60 every time, and I know as a sales, membership sales director, I can close 20%, and you do the math and you can start to figure, okay, it's that person cost me $500. That member cost me $500 to get signed up and collected dues.
Right.
So if the mathematics of that makes sense to you, at $50 or $60, they're definitely going to make more sense at $30 or $40. So why wouldn't you just, put fuel in the fire and do as much as you can, as much as the market will allow you to. So that's kind of when we talked initially, I wanted the webinar and these things to be like a pep rally. Like, you guys need to go out there and do this stuff. Like, just go do it.
Or have you do it, Kent.
Oh, well, that's.
I mean, that's definitely a part of it. Some of what we're going to be talking about is not just, the webinar series is not a series to plug our three companies, although we do quite well with that. But the webinar series is a series for us to talk about technology solutions in general. What can you do in general? How can you grab these customers and hold on to them? Things could get, we don't know what next year's going to hold. I think what we do know, as we see some of the things start to change. I mean, I'm sitting here in Southern California right now, and I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but Governor Newsom here in California said we're pressing the emergency brake right now on all of our reopening plans. I mean, those were his words. And they're coming out with new reopening guidelines for all businesses. Any indoor businesses are going to have they're shut down right now, are going to have new guidelines to reopen, which we don't know what they are. That's not been announced yet. But because of the unknown in terms, this is not something I think we're going to be fortunate enough to see go away. I mean, I think we're hearing great things about vaccines, different things going on, but no, I don't think any of us really know that. I'm not jumping in line to be the first one to get one of these new shots either. So, I don't think I'm, the only one to say that. So we'll see. But I think the one thing that is certain for next year is we still don't know what the F is going to happen, other than people are going to be tuned in out.
But we know golf's in a good spot.
Right.
I stood by the prediction I made in the summer, which is golf's not getting shut back down. I don't care what Gavin Newsom says. He could be having a dinner for 50 people up in Napa for himself and making these rules. Golf's not getting shut back down. It might, in a certain limited circumstance. There's no way. There hasn't been one COVID case transmitted. Outdoor activity, your pro shop might be limited. Your food and beverage might be limited. People are going to be able to golf. And as much as I hate to say it, I do hate to say it. Like, if everything else closes down and golf stays open, that's an unbelievable opportunity for you to do all of the things that you should have been doing anyway, in terms of improving the business, CapEx, paying yourself. This is kind of what we got to last week. Fill up the business coffers while you can. Make hay while the sun shines. We have to come up with a different one, because it's just make green fee revenue while golfers want to golf. For the last 20 years, the conversation has been about, what do we do to appeal to the younger generation? What's wrong with the game? Well, nothing's wrong with the game. Absolutely nothing is wrong with the game. It has been every other influence, from kids' activities to travel to the role of the dad in the family. All of those other things are what's wrong. The game wasn't ever the problem. We have the answer to that question now. So now you can literally collect the revenue, have the demand, and if your other competing entertainment options are closed, be smart, price accordingly, collect the data, get them to use your mobile app, get them to check in automatically, get them to do things you want them to do anyway, capture all that information, and
You're quite
enjoy
literally
it.
one of the only games in town. Like, you know what I mean?
How long have you been waiting to say that?
I just thought of it.
One of the
Quick on
things that we're going to be covering in the webinar series too is getting out of that normal box.
Yeah.
Everything else is way out of the box right now. It's time to get your golf operations out of the old box as well. You've got these new people, there are opportunities, there are things that you wanted to try before, things that you wanted to do outside. You wanted to set up a grill on the 10th tee, do it. There are a lot of things that you've been thinking about doing. Now is the time to try any and every outdoor idea that you've ever thought of, or at least plan for it. And for those courses in the cold weather states, you've got the luxury of a few months to really get your act together and be ready come May 1 and kind of the season really kicking off in full force. So
and the same goes for pricing. I think we're going to have a whole thing just on pricing, about stagnant pricing. Just you have pricing power, and it's not your fault. You just get to use it, and to charge for your product in the previous model with your, like, if you were a baseball stadium and you're charging your spring season or your Cubs versus the Marlins, great. Well, now it's the 7th game of the World Series and everybody wants into the stadium, and now you have to adjust your pricing accordingly, because this is where you make your money. And I think people might not be used to that. I don't want to offend this customer. For every customer you offend, you've made that much more on the new customer coming in. And you can always go back down. Kent mentions that all the time. You can always go back down. All right. But now's the time to actually price the product accordingly, the way it should be, the way that your benefit with capital expenditures at the course, or with clubhouse repairs, or with salary, or with marketing people. So I think if we can give you some stats and ammo to at least have those conversations, and maybe give you the push that you would need with some data, and by using any of our companies, the technology tools to also handle that push, now's the time.
Guys, one thing that we probably are not going to cover in the webinar series, but for our listeners here on the GIR, we've got a lot of golfers that listen as well. What tips do you guys have for golfers to, what are things they should be looking for in 2021 or in the coming months, if they're in warm weather states, to engage with their golf courses? What should they be looking for? What should golfers be demanding of their golf courses to better provide for this increased demand and their interaction? What should they be looking at?
I would say this: if you hear me telling the golf course owners raise prices and that makes the golfer cringe, I would just give them the caveat that the last 20 years, the golf course that you have been playing, most likely 95%, has been barely hanging on. The industry itself has been barely hanging on. And I know it's great to find the $15 green fee, or play all the golf you want for $200 a month, or whatever the special that you've been accustomed to. The golf course can't make money at that. It can't provide 200 acres of maintenance and a clubhouse, and it just cannot survive on that. So I would look for higher prices. It doesn't mean you have to be angry or upset. It just means that the golf course can make money. The things that I would hopefully the golf course can provide you is better technology to navigate you through the buying experience. Better mobile app experience, better check-in, better pre-check-in, better identifying you as a customer. Hopefully they're giving you options to shop for the holidays virtually. One of the things we talked about is, virtual web stores or virtual gift cards. Hopefully that stuff is coming. It's here and it's available, but a lot of times golf courses are slow to adopt to it. And then hopefully they're programming for you, whether you're a new golfer, an avid golfer. There's just more of you. So hopefully they're programming more, thinking about their golf course in different terms, that they could do an early morning shotgun at 5:45 a.m. so that you could get to virtual work at 9 a.m. or a golf tournament at 3 or 4 o'clock to do a shotgun, so that you can escape the house if you've been there all day. Hopefully there's programming to help meet your needs. Lessons, virtual lessons, simulator lessons, all of those things. Hopefully they're busy programming for you. So I would hope that the golf courses are doing that. And that's what we're certainly going to push them to do with the technology. But those were kind of my jump outs for the golfers.
I mean, something I think that is worth mentioning related to price too is I know, at least I was supposed to fly to Hawaii with my family in May. I was supposed to go to Bali in August on a vacation. There are a number of things I was supposed to do. We used to dine out sometimes 3, even 4 times a week. There's a lot of spending that was happening that it's just it's not happening anymore. So there's space in the budget too. So if prices do go up a little bit, keep in mind that there's money that you're not spending in some other places as well. And then just kind of touch on some of the things that Scott said. I would look for a lot of touchless, contactless technology to be coming. You should be able to demand that from your golf courses. There should be courses, if you're in a market that has at least 5, 6, 7 golf courses within your reasonable driving distance for the market that you're in, you should be able to expect at least one of those courses. And I would demand it of the courses if I were a golfer, that I'm able to pay outside without going into the golf shop and touching all the same keypads that everybody else is touching, maybe even preferably from my own phone. I'm able to interact in a lot of ways. If I want to order some food at the turn, or I want the beverage cart to come to me on the golf course, I might be able to do that from my phone. Or at very least, the course is set it up that they're able to take a phone call from you, that you can, at least from your call, voice these things and talk about with them, to get that kind of service. But as buildings maybe remain, you can't go inside, or it's very limited traffic inside, I would look for a lot of contactless technology to be the way, not just in golf, but really any retail business that wants to stay open should be offering these things. I know when we do rarely go to a restaurant right now, all the QR codes are at the table to pull up the menu without holding that same printed menu that 14 people with COVID handled before I did.
And I would tell them, I would tell the golfer also, Rob, to just be patient and kind. The golf course industry was not ready for a massive influx, and
no industry
received a massive but golf received it, 25, 35, 40% up in certain cases. That's a humongous burden on an operation to take in. That's one. And then two, like, the supply chains are all screwed up in golf. We weren't expecting this many golfers, so we're low on golf balls, or we don't have pull carts, or we've had to do single rider carts, so there's not as many carts. You can't just snap magic fingers and all of a sudden you've doubled your cart fleet. Sorry, just and then by the time you get that order in to Easy Go and they make the production, they bring you the carts, and like, there's this huge lead time. So they're stressed and they're fried there at the golf course. Just be as patient as you can with them, because they're doing their best to stay open and make you happy and service you in spite of how busy they've been. It's a huge challenge. So, well, I don't like it because the prices are up and there's more golfers there. Yes, that is the case. I mean, you're in some sort of traffic jam, and you used to be, in a, have the road to yourself.
I would love to sit on a plane where it's just me and maybe my friends in there, but unfortunately it's crowded and I've got 2 300-pound men on either side of me.
I thought you fly private. You're like Rob, you're flying private over to Bali.
Yeah, I don't fly private. You know what I do is I sit there in my seat against the window and I watch the people coming in, and I pray to myself, God, not him, please, not him, not him. Yeah, her, make her sit next to me. That's my path.
That never
as they're
happens.
walking onto the plane. Yeah. No, it's always the sweaty guy.
But to talk a little bit about the cart thing, that's a big deal for a lot of my customers. The whole requesting single rider carts, that has really hurt a lot of these people, because that revenue, and people get upset. This is my, my urge to the golfers listening. If you are requesting single rider carts, you should also expect to pay double the cart fee, at least, in my opinion. And I think that's fair, because that course, that's a seat that they can't rent. That's a green fee they cannot sell. That's a, you know what I mean? It's money on the table.
There's only X amount of carts that fit.
That's right.
If you're mad about it, walk down into the cart barn. That's what I want you to do as a golfer. Walk down
That's
the
right.
cart barn. It's a finite space
That's
that can fit a finite number of carts. And if your answer is, we'll just blow out that wall and get double the amount of carts in your set, there aren't double the amount of carts. There aren't. They're just they easy going club car Yamaha. They're all backed up. They can't get them out fast enough.
That's
and
right.
the single rider change in design, they're not there yet. They're trying to. And I've seen some emails about it, but it's not there yet. So you're going to have to deal with it. And it stinks, but it's great because the golf course, we need them to be healthy. You want that business to be vibrant and healthy. And as much as you want the whole place to yourself, that's not a reasonable expectation to have a business, to have this entire golf course to yourself. So you actually want
If
it to
you
be
love
busy.
this sport as much as a lot of people say they do, this hobby is this thing that we all love as much as we all say we do, you need to be encouraging your friends to play golf. You need to be inviting your friends that don't play golf, because all that's going to do is put more money into this sport. The golf courses are going to be better. The service is going to be better. The offerings are going to be cooler. It's just going to benefit everyone involved. And even if you're the golfer that likes to shotgun at 5:30 in the morning and be at work, virtual work by 9 or whatever the case is, like merch, or you're the golfer that likes to go drink a 6-pack and,
I was going to say shotgun what at 5:30 in the morning.
You
Yeah,
can shotgun
yeah.
beers. You can shotgun beers at 5:30 in the morning. It works great.
You know?
It makes the rest of the day go a lot smoother if you're shotgunning beers.
Right. Yeah. Kyle, I think you should shut us up.
Yeah.
We'll go on forever.
Yeah. You're muted, Kyle.
My phone was ringing in the background, so I muted it. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just glad I could drop all these knowledge bombs for our listeners.
Very good.
Again, then, just so those who missed the first or second, we'll have in the show notes registration links. I think we've got 4 or 5 more of these lined up, guys, and then there'll be some replay opportunities as well, I guess.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
Binge watch them all.
Yep.
Yeah, and I tuned in the first one. I'll be on the rest. There were some great questions. You guys did a great job, but I think some of the questions and the feedback from the listeners really helped kind of
It was for sure.
some of the information that sort of came out after the slides were done. So definitely, I want to encourage everybody to kind of engage with the 3 people on the call during those webinars, because that's where you'll really can pull out some information, put together your kind of pitch, and take it back to your decision maker to up your budget, to increase your frequency, to invest in experiences. Because like we've all said, we didn't necessarily see this coming. Now that we've got this genie by the tail, it's time to take advantage of it.
Yep.
That's right.
Well put.
Very good. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Kyle, kick us out of here.
Yeah, that concludes another episode of the GIR Golf Industry Roundtable. If you haven't done so already, wherever you find your podcast, be it Google, Apple, Spotify, etc., drop into the show notes, leave us some feedback, some comments, and definitely a ranking or a review. That sort of helps us get the show out. And
who you want to see too, what topics you want to hear. That would be great for us in choosing next guests too.
Exactly. Next guest, show ideas, locations for where is Rob. We can kind of tour him through California.
Yeah. Let's get a little more rain.
Where's Waldo?
Clouds. There's way too much sun and palm trees.
I'll come out here the one day it rains in San Diego this year. And
Yeah,
Well,
you're
Scott, you may
you're-
have to be a celebrity guest then, because between my Orlando and his San Diego, we're not going to have much bad weather between.
I need to ground you guys in some reality. We're a gray, cold.
That does it for us.
So-
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time on GIR.
Very good.